Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Watch my video and subscribe my channel. Is Brooke Logan the new waffler now that Ridge Forrester has said he is going to Italy? Brooke Logan had to choose between Ridge Forrester and Nick Marone on B&B. Is she becoming the new waffler or fighting for destiny? Shocking choice made public. B&B spoilers. Is Brooke Logan the new waffler or just fighting for her destiny? In short, Brooke Logan is being called the new waffler after being caught between Ridge Forrester and Nick Marone. However, she has already made her choice. She turned down Nick's offer to fight for Ridge, who is still too scared to break up with Taylor Hayes. Is there a new contender for the waffler crown? For the last 30 years, Ridge Forrester has been the clear winner of the distinction of daytime's biggest waffler. Since 1987, the bold and the beautiful has been like a dizzying carousel, with Brooke and Taylor going back and forth and around and over. But wait, now people are speculating if Brooke Logan is inheriting his wishy-washy habits. Everything changed after that heart-stopping rescue in Italy when Ridge jumped into the Mediterranean to save her life. Or did it? Because while Ridge expressed his everlasting love and promised Brooke a future together, he's still engaged to Taylor. What really happened in Italy? The drama escalated during that Forrester Creations fashion show in Italy. Taylor had cautioned Brooke to stay away from her fiancé, while Eric Forrester was avidly Team Bridge, pushing his son toward his destiny. Then came the time. Brooke plunged into those turbulent Mediterranean waves. Ridge didn't hesitate, he dived in after her. And in that life-or-death moment, insight struck like lightning. This near-death event became Ridge's epiphany. He recognized what loyal watchers have known forever. Brooke is the love of his life. Back in Los Angeles, Brooke waited for Ridge to do the obvious, break up with Taylor. He didn't. Instead, he left important wedding decisions to Taylor and ignored the subject totally. Classic Ridge, am I right? Enter Nick Marone with a game-changing proposal. Just when Brooke was stranded in this terrible limbo, Nick Marone came in with a solution. He'd observed everything in Italy, saw Brooke's pain back in LA, and made his move a marriage proposal. Nick promised her something Ridge couldn't seem to give. A definitive future. No drama. No endless back and forth. Just commitment. This is where the waffling charges started flying. Brooke had a choice. Keep waiting for Ridge to grow a backbone, or accept Nick's offer and move on. Does Brooke choose Nick over Ridge? No, Brooke Logan does not select Nick Marone over Ridge Forrester. After using Nick's proposal as leverage, presenting an ultimatum to Ridge, and pressing the issue, Brooke made her decision. She met with Nick and formally rejected his proposal. She gave him back the ring, explained that her life, her family, and her heart are in Los Angeles with Ridge, and closed the door with perfect finality. The verdict? She's battling for Ridge. Period. The real waffler shows his true colors. Here's the issue that has people screaming at their TVs. Brooke's so-called waffling lasted maybe a few weeks. Ridge's waffling? We're talking 30-plus years. Let's break this down. Ridge's hesitation is proactive. He constructs these love triangles. Brooke's predicament was reactive. She responded to Ridge's paralysis. Ridge actually can't pick between two women he loves. Brooke was deciding between battling for love or giving up. See the difference? Ridge has ping-ponged between Brooke and Taylor through two of Taylor's presumed fatalities, multiple paternity scandals, countless weddings that ended in tragedy, brief excursions with Katie Logan, Caroline Spencer II, Quinn Fuller, and Shauna Fulton. And where does he always end up? Back with Brooke. What's next for Ridge and Taylor? Could this finally be the time Ridge quits waffling? Don't hold your breath. But with Brooke's rejection of Nick, she's effectively eliminated Ridge's safety net. He can't wander in quiet indecision anymore. Given Taylor's mounting suspicions regarding the Italy trip, don't be shocked if she confronts Ridge herself. This has all the makings of another wedding disaster, and we know how Ridge likes disasters. If history tells us anything, Taylor's about to get her heart shattered. Again. May Ridge shock us all and actually choose Taylor? Theoretically, sure. But executive producer Bradley Bell has been fairly clear. Brooke is destined to win Ridge back. She's the true love of his life. The bottom line, Brooke isn't the new waffler. The whole storyline that Brooke is taking over Ridge's waffling ways? Complete rubbish. She made a decision. She chose to fight. She eschewed the easy path with Nick for the complex, chaotic, passionate path with Ridge. That's not waffling, that's dedication. Maybe even stubbornness. But absolutely not waffling. The real waffler, the original, the champion, the king of romantic indecision, is still Ridge Forrester. And now, because to Brooke's decisiveness, he's finally being pushed to make a choice. Will he truly do it? Will Taylor beat him to the punch? Could Nick make one last play? This is the bold and the beautiful, where anything may happen. But one thing's certain. Brooke Logan isn't becoming the next waffler. She's the one compelling the old waffler to finally make up his decision. Will goes wild as Luna plots next step. The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Wednesday, August 20th, suggest that Spencer will go wild while Luna Nozawa plots her next step. Sheila Sharp will also carry out an urgent search. So there'll be some interesting things occurring in Wednesday's action-packed show. For starters, Lee Finnegan will continue to lose it about Luna's abduction, but Sheila may have an inkling about her location. Since Sheila offered Luna details on Will's promotion party, it may not be long until she goes on the quest for her missing granddaughter there. Luna is actually lurking at Il Giardino, where she's been pouring up extra drunken cocktails to Will in disguise. Will had no idea he's getting pours from the 180-proof bottle instead of the vodka he's ordered in his soda, so he's growing drunker by the minute and going to spin out of control. B&B spoilers claim Will's behavior will get wilder as the night goes on, so Electra Forrester might notice and suggest he should calm down on the booze. Of course, Will may argue that he's just having a good time and keep throwing them back anyhow. At some point in the next couple episodes, Deacon Sharp will decide it's time for a bit of an intervention. It sounds like Deacon will cut Will off, so we'll see if it produces a scene. As for Sheila, if anyone can spot Luna in disguise, it's her. However, Luna will have an opportunity to play out the remainder of her stealthy plan first, so Sheila may not detect her just yet. Since Luna has hinted about this being Will's fortunate night, she certainly wants to get passionate with him. Luna may use Will's intoxicated conduct to generate complications in his relationship with Electra and leave him hunting for another veiled beauty to hook up with in his inebriated state. That could be Electra's cue to don a mask and get active with Will soon enough. Then again, this may be a mistaken identity problem if Will's so intoxicated that he can't tell the difference between masked Electra and masked Luna. Either way, it appears like Will do the deed with Luna before the night's up, so don't miss all the confused drama that'll bring. The bold and the beautiful spoilers say Luna's about to make a giant mess and cause some terrible news for Will's love life. Brooke Logan's life in Los Angeles has never been one for the faint of heart, but the events that unfolded following Ridge Forrester's grand declaration in Italy have placed her squarely at the center of a storm that calls into question not just her destiny, but her very character, forcing both longtime viewers and new fans to wonder whether the once iconic heroine has become the very thing she once endured, a waffler, teetering between past love and present opportunity. Ridge Forrester's passionate but paralyzed promise and Nick Marone's steadfast, almost too clean offer of a future. For decades, Ridge has worn the crown of daytime television's most notorious waffler, his love life a carousel spinning endlessly from Brooke to Taylor, Taylor to Brooke, with detours through Caroline, Katie, Shauna, Quinn, and fleeting sparks elsewhere, all while holding two families hostage in the gravitational pull of his indecision. But Italy changed the optics, if not the reality, as Ridge's dramatic leap into the choppy Mediterranean to save Brooke during the Forrester Creations fashion event became not only a viral clip, but a metaphor for the eternal tug-of-war between destiny and choice, between the romantic legend of Bridge and the exhausting pattern of avoidance that has marked Ridge's romantic history. When they returned to Los Angeles, Brooke, buoyed by a life-altering rescue and a whispered confession of undying love, expected action, a broken engagement, an honest reckoning with Taylor Hayes, the clean cut that would make their decades-long saga finally feel conclusive. But instead, she got silence, deflection, and the maddening return of Ridge's habit of letting women orbit his heart without ever letting one fully land. And into that void stepped Nick Marone, the sailor, the wild card, the man who had once stolen her heart when Ridge could not give her security, now older, wiser, and determined to offer her what Ridge refused: clarity, marriage, a life of commitment without the triangle-shaped chains. And in a twist that sent the fandom into overdrive, Brooke did not immediately reject him. She entertained the idea, weighed it against her history, her family, her sense of destiny, and for a moment the waffler whispers began, fueled by tabloids and Taylor loyalists who have long painted Brooke as the architect of her own chaos. But here is where the truth bites through the gossip. Brooke Logan did what Ridge has so rarely done in 30-plus years. She made a decision. After using Nick's proposal as a litmus test for Ridge's resolve, after issuing an ultimatum that forced the original waffler to face his own cowardice, she met Nick, gave back the ring, and with it gave up the safety of a ready-made future, choosing instead to fight for the complicated, fiery, sometimes self-destructive, always magnetic connection that has defined her adult life, Ridge Forrester. And in doing so, she set a trap of accountability that Ridge Ha's never truly faced, because without Nick as a fallback, without Taylor placated by empty promises of a wedding that may never come, he now stands alone at the crossroads, the world watching, Brooke waiting, Taylor suspecting, Eric Forrester meddling from the sidelines like the puppet master of destiny he has always claimed to be, and Nick sailing out of town with a bruised ego but an oddly noble exit. But while this war of hearts plays out, the next generation's scandal brews in the shadowed corners of Il Giardino, where will Spencer, drunk on both the rush of promotion and the unholy 180-proof concoctions, slipped to him by a masked Luna Nozua, dances with danger under the dim lights as Electra Forrester glares. Deacon Sharp intervenes and Sheila Carter, ever the chaotic matriarch, prowls, half guilty for giving Luna the party intel and half determined to stop the ticking time bomb she unwittingly unleashed. Luna's plan, laced with obsession and a whisper of revenge, teeters between seduction and sabotage as she circles a drunken Will, plotting to exploit his blurred senses and make herself unforgettable in the worst possible way. While outside, Lee Finnegan unravels over her niece's disappearance, certain that secrets are being kept from her. Because on this show they always are, and as masked bodies press closer on the dance floor, the echoes of the older generation's mistakes ripple forward. Ridge, once again paralyzed, Taylor rehearsing the words of confrontation, Brooke staring at a future she has chosen but cannot yet claim, and the specter of waffling, that maddening blend of indecision and entitlement, looming like a family heirloom no one truly wants to inherit. Is Brooke Logan the new waffler? No. She is the reaction to one, the counterbalance, the catalyst forcing Ridge Forrester to finally decide whether a woman who almost drowned for his love is worth the courage he has so long postponed. And as the credits roll on this chapter, the only certainty is chaos. Weddings poised to explode, proposals returned with a bittersweet kiss, a Spencer heir about to wake with regrets he cannot remember, a Nozoa niece whose obsession may rewrite lineage, and a world still spinning on the axis of one simple, maddening truth. In Los Angeles, destiny is never decided in a day, but one night in Italy can change everything, and one night at Il Giardino can destroy it all. Brooke Logan's rejection of Nick Marone's heartfelt proposal might have closed one door, but in typical bold and the beautiful fashion, it opened 10 more, and the reverberations of that choice were felt from the Forrester estate to the dimly lit backroom of Il Giardino, where a different kind of disaster was fermenting beneath the clink of glasses and the throb of bass. As Brooke handed back the ring, her voice steady, her heart pounding, Nick studied her face, That iconic mixture of vulnerability and steel that only Brooke could carry, and whispered that she deserved more than waiting, that she deserved a man who would choose her first, not as an afterthought when the wedding flowers wilted. And as he turned to leave, the camera lingered on Brooke's reflection in the window, her mind racing through 3 decades of Ridge's promises, Taylor's tears, Eric's manipulations, and her own defiance. Meanwhile, Ridge Forrester, the so-called destiny she was fighting for, was upstairs at the Forrester mansion, nursing a glass of scotch with Eric at his side, pretending to read contracts while Taylor texted him about the Italy venue deposit, her words cheerful but edged with growing unease, because she felt it, the shift, the shadow of Brooke in every pause, the ghost of that rescue still clinging to his silence, and in her mind the wedding dress she had once again allowed herself to dream of was beginning to feel like a costume for a tragedy already written. Eric, ever the meddler in designers. Clothing reminded Ridge that he had almost lost Brooke in those choppy waters, that the universe had screamed its choice loud and clear, and that indecision was no longer noble. It was cruel, and for the first time, Ridge did not argue. He simply stared into his glass, torn between habit and truth, across town. Hope Logan watched all this with the keen eye of a daughter who has lived in the wake of her mother's romances, torn between pride that Brooke had finally shown some spine and fear, that she had once again handed her happiness over to a man with a record of running from it, while Katie Logan, ever the pragmatist, wondered aloud whether Brooke had been too quick to dismiss Nick, a man who at least knew how to sail straight without an anchor of indecision dragging behind him. But the real storm was not in the living rooms and boardrooms of Los Angeles. It was under the mask-strewn chaos of Will Spencer's promotion party, where Luna Nozawa, hidden behind feathered disguise, fed him drink after drink from a bottle that should have been locked away, her plan a toxic cocktail of obsession and strategy, to make herself unforgettable by exploiting his blurred senses, to weave herself into his night in a way that could not be untangled come morning. Electra Forrester, sharp-eyed and sharp-tongued, watched her boyfriend sway and smile too wide, her own mask in her hand as she debated whether to intervene or let him implode, while Deacon Sharp, bartender, turned reluctant. Guardian cut the next pour with a scowl that said he'd seen this before. The makings of a scandal that would stain the Spencer name, and perhaps his business too. Sheila Carter, who had foolishly given Luna the tip-off about the party thinking it would earn her favor or maybe spark a harmless flirtation, now paced the edges of the dance floor, scanning every mask, every giggle, every suspicious tilt of a glass, her gut twisting with that familiar cocktail of guilt and adrenaline that had marked so many of her past helpful interventions, because she knew Luna was here, and she knew nothing good ever came from a Nozoa with a grudge. Lee Finnegan, elsewhere, tore through her phone logs, leaving messages that went unanswered, the same way her conscience had when she covered for Luna's darker impulses in the past, and as the night deepened, so too did the split-screen drama. Brooke in her mansion, staring at a ring-shaped indentation on her finger where Nick's future might have been, Ridge in his study, finally picking up his phone to call Taylor, but not dialing, just staring at her name. Taylor rehearsing a speech in her mirror that began with, "I know what happened in Italy," and ended with, "I won't be your safety net again," and Will, heir to a fortune and victim to a scheme, laughing too loud as Luna led him toward the shadows, whispering about masks and lucky nights, her fingers curling around his wrist like a promise he would regret. In the days to come, the fallout would not just be romantic. It would be generational, because Brooke's decisiveness would force Ridge into a corner where his old tricks no longer worked. Nick's wounded pride would not vanish quietly, and Luna's reckless night would ignite a chain reaction, touching Sheila's fragile redemption arc, Lee's desperate need for control, and Electra's future as a Forrester in the making. Fans debated online whether Brooke had truly stopped waffling or simply passed the torch to a new kind of chaos, one where she fought for destiny instead of dancing between it, where her strength lay not in having options, but in forcing the man she loved to finally choose, and as teasers promised confrontations in the Forrester showroom, a mask unmasking at Il Giardino, and a shocking twist that would send Taylor packing yet again. One thing was clear. The age of passive waiting was over, and the era of active reckoning had begun. Ridge's glass of scotch would not stay full forever, Brooks. Patience would not hold past autumn, and Luna's mask, once removed, would reveal not just her face, but a new level of fallout that even Sheila Carter might not be able to spin into salvation.